producer in Virginia won the National Corn Growers Association most recent yield contest by achieving 542 bushels per acre, reportedly a new world record. While it's not uncommon to see contest yields above 300 or 400 bushels, it's probably also not uncommon to ask whether a farmer can do it profitably. That was part of the objective for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Testing Ag Performance Solutions, or TAPS, competition. In 2017, teams comprised of UNL researchers, students, and Nebraska producers competed to see which group could grow corn most profitably, most efficiently, and attain the greatest yield. Each team had 3 replicated plots at UNL's West Central Research and Extension Center in North Platte, where they could pick their own variety, seeding rate, irrigation, and nitrogen applications. But they were also in charge of marketing and selecting crop insurance levels. 8 farms were profitable, 7 weren't. Nebraska Extension's Daran Rudnick, Chuck Burr, Matt Stockton, and Rodrigo Worley developed the program. Daran joined us this week to explain why the group thought the TAPS competition would be valuable.
So TAPS started in December of 2016. Matt Stockton, the ag economist at West Central Research and Extension Center, him and I were visiting about the best ways to really connect to our producers and how do we get people to come in together so that there's a better peer-to-peer learning opportunity, in addition to how the university and maybe some industry partners could come in. So we kind of brainstormed some ideas, and one thing led to another, and then the idea was to get everybody together. Competition felt like that was the most appropriate means of doing that. So,
outline for me how the competition works.
Yes, so the competition, it starts with, we have a website that basically is a password protected login for every individual farm. So the idea was we wanted producers to be able to make a series of management decisions that were very realistic to what an actual operation would look like. And through that process, they would go and they would actually go in, log in, and then they would select like their insurance, they would select their irrigation, so both they would have to select their date as well as the timing or the amount, their nitrogen fertilizer, their seed population, and then their hybrid. And then basically through that process, we would take that information and then we would actually go ahead and implement those in the field.
So tell me, for an example, which situation was most profitable and why?
We had 3 awards. One was the highest award was most profitable, and then we had a highest input use efficiency and greatest grain yield. The most profitable farm, it was very interesting to look at kind of the differences between the biophysical data that was collected and then the agronomics or the yield response versus how it played out in terms of profitability. We saw that one of the biggest drivers of profitability, as one could imagine, was the marketing and how well that they did about handling throughout the growing season and their commodity prices. So.
And the most profitable farm, one of the reasons it was most profitable was because of the marketing, yeah?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
What about the inputs? What did you learn about how input use can affect profitability?
So the inputs, it was very interesting. So we had a very large spread. So in terms of irrigation, we had one farm that irrigated as low as 2.5 inches for the season up to almost 11 inches in the season. And we had about a 100-pound difference in nitrogen fertilizer from 150 to 240 pounds per acre. Those definitely had an input or impact on terms of the input cost. But again, the marketing was really driven pretty heavily by the profitability was really driven by the marketing. But the efficiency was driven by how well they irrigated and fertilized.
The highest yielding field was profitable, correct?
So in this case, our highest yielding field for our producer, he did not have a very aggressive marketing strategy. So even though he had the highest yield, he actually resulted in one of the lower farms in terms of profitability, in terms of a positive profit. So,
what did the farmers learn from this, do you think?
So I think there was lots of opportunities to learn, both in terms of the management decisions and what information people were using to make those decisions. So there was a lot of technology that was available to producers, including soil moisture monitoring devices, aerial imagery. We also had lab analysis that were collected, so soil samples that were submitted and posted online. So it was interesting to see what technologies some producers used, and they've shared that information briefly, but a lot of that information will continue to come out as we generate our final report.
UNL had a team as well, which you were a part of.
Yes.
Did you make your decisions based on what Nebraska Extension recommends for?
Yes. So we wanted to provide confidence in the UNL recommendations that are generated by us at the West Central Research and Extension Center, as well as our colleagues on main campus. And so when we did that, we wanted to make sure that our irrigating, our nitrogen, and then our seed selection and population density were all appropriate based off of the recommendations that we give our local growers.
And you were profitable.
And we were profitable, yes.
So what's the idea for next year? Are there any changes or additions, things that you'll do differently?
Yes, so there was tremendous interest in the program. So we've had a lot of producers as well as different entities that were interested in how things played out, and it was very eye-opening. So with that interest, we do expect to expand the competition to have more growers involved. We have talked about having now not only a center pivot irrigated competition, but also a subsurface drip irrigation competition. We're still finalizing some of the details in terms of the addition of maybe another management decision, such as insecticide application, and we're going to iron those out and release that information in the next couple of weeks.